On the 5th of April 2023, YouTuber Spooky Dude made a Fury video about what he believed to be the secret boss of Chapter 3 in Deltarune. After seeing the newsletter that came out soon before and how the cowboy segment might get cancelled in Chapter 3, he pieced the piece together and came to the conclusion that the secret boss of the next chapter will be a cowboy. This was the Woody theory. However, we now know that this theory was wrong. There wasn't a secret cowboy boss in Chapter 3 nor 4. Yet he doesn't give up on his hopes and dreams and continues believing that Woody theory will be proven right in Chapter 5, which will release on the 24th of June. And I believe so too. Alright, so I first need to clarify some things before we get into the actual theory part of the video. I'm not a professional YouTuber or theorist, which should be pretty obvious considering my first video about Deltarune is about the Woody theory. I also want to apologize for the unfitting and boring editing and the bad audio. I had to kinda rush this video, which I'll talk about later again. I'm also well aware that my theory and the Woody theory as a whole will very likely be disproven in a few days. So don't take this video too seriously. You can also consider this theory a continuation of the Woody theory, or rather a more precise theorizing on the idea. I'm very much still aware that the video is oddly structured and all, but at the time of writing the script, it's Saturday, so I'm really just trying to get this thing out before Wednesday. With that said, let's get to the first actual part of the video. According to the Woody theory by Spooky Dude, there will be a cowboy boss in Deltarune, because it's really odd that Toby referred to the cowboy segment of Deltarune Chapter 3 as cancelled, and the existence of Toby's infamous song Friend Inside Me, which is a remix of Toy Story 1's Friend Me, which is actually where the theory got its name from. Also, there was a cancelled show bit in Toy Story 2, which fits perfectly to a TV antagonist, which ended up being Tanner. And well, even though that isn't something extremely crazy or, well, mind-breaking, it's still interesting to know. And that's basically the whole thing with the Woody theory. It's a theory that is based off big assumptions, but has some proof to it. Like the fact that the song Friend Inside Me exists, and we have a character named Friend in the game, who has been appearing more recently in the last few chapters. Now, with that said, let's get to another big topic of this theory, and that's the theme of the Dark World, or perhaps Dark Worlds. I believe that the Dark World will be Wild West-like, or based off of it. And that is a pretty big assumption here, because I'm fairly sure most of you have seen theories or heard the assumptions that the Dark World will be in a festival or place, something Japanese, which fits with what is seen in the trailers. But I believe it will be Wild West, like I said. Now, I gotta clarify that a lot of these points I have for this segment of the theory come from Spooky Dude's third Woody theory video, since he used the same vision to establish why he thinks that Chapter 5 might confirm his theory. So it's basically the same thing as his theory, but I still wanted to reuse it to clarify how I come to the conclusion. I think I repeat myself here. Anyhow, first off, we can clearly see beauty in the background of Chapter 5's reveal trailer, which are commonly associated with Wild West, specifically movies that play during the time. Next up, there's Floridan, which seems to be a variant or rather a NPC we will meet in Chapter 5's Dark World, who seems to be a switchman, or however you want to call it, for a train with his, well, rather cute little head. Now, I have a question for you. Doesn't this guy practically scream that you'll be driving a locomotive? Doesn't get much more obvious than that, but I still got another point. These guys here, in general, these Floridans, seem to be cacti, which may be crazy, but they tend to live in deserts. And the connection between deserts and the Wild West is, well, we're basically the same thing. Also, there's something most people seem to have forgotten or not even thought of. You see, Asger used to watch a cowboy show with Chris, and we know that he has a TV in his shop or home, whatever it is. And putting 1 to 1 together made me realize that if a dark world gets opened in there, it will most likely have an effect on TV, meaning that a darkner, the darkner that originally gets a form in the dark world, that is the TV, will have a form related to the cowboy show, as it is most likely something Asger still watches, since there is no Wi-Fi in hometown that allows new shows to be broadcasted, if I understand right. And it is definitely something that reminds me of the past, something good, something that makes me happy. Anywho, I know it's not 100% proven with these things that we will get a Wild West-based dark world, but I think it has a good chance it could happen, even if I'm going off a lot of assumptions here. Okay, so we're probably already halfway through the video and I haven't even said what exactly my theory is about, so let's change that. I think that Asger will not only be the one to open at least one file in chapter 5, but also that he will be the main boss of the chapter. And you might be thinking right now, well, yeah, duh, that's what everyone is saying. And I hear you, but I have to say that you're wrong, because I have thought of something no one else has. Probably. I believe that Asger will be a sheriff, and that will essentially confirm Woody theory, and I have several arguments for that. First of all, in the context of the Woody theory itself, Woody is not a cowboy, he's a sheriff and always has been one. Therefore, if the Woody theory were to be true, it would make way more sense for the boss to be a sheriff and not a cowboy. But to get to some actual evidence for the theory, have you thought about what Asger could possibly be in the dark world? We know that he misses his old life and that he wants to show the truth and bring justice to hometown, which, well, you might be wondering what justice he would want to serve. But since he lost basically everything he had, and we can guess it has something to do with his appearance, it probably means that he knows something about it or tries to figure something out and wants to confirm his suspicions or theory about that, which I think fits rather well with a sheriff, especially because he's also the head of police, or used to be the chief of police. Now, another thing that I think could be used as evidence would be the fact that Friend Inside Me, or Friend is a character in the game, and the song Friend Inside Me exists. So we could imagine a direct correlation between a cowboy or a sheriff boss and Friend. And because the song is called Friend Inside Me, it might be something like Friend comes out of Asger in some way. Maybe possession, maybe Asger gets stabbed, similar to what happened in Undertale Yellow, if I'm not mistaken. And that would be a pretty big plot twist, a big shock moment, and it would, well, correlate to what happened in the past, or rather references, I think you could call it. Also, we can't forget that Asger is supposed to be in a field of pink and yellow, of jealousy, something like that. I forgot the prophecy exactly, but pink, or rather gold and pink, are the colors of Friend, or well, where his eyes. So we once again have a direct connection between the two. Alright, and with that I can say that this is basically all I've got. I don't think there's much more or much more evidence I can get to support my theory, since I didn't have much time to actually think about it. This is like my third or fourth take of trying to get this video, so I didn't really have time to do much more. But anyhow, let's give a quick summary as to why I think we can expect a dark world that is Wild West based and well, a Sheriff Asgard boss fight. To summarize, I believe that based on the by Spooky Dude's established theory, you can expect Chapter 5 to have a Wild West segment, possibly in a second Dark World. Furthermore, I'm fairly confident that Asgore will be a sheriff in the Dark World, being dead set on bringing justice to town, and although this is a stretch, think we see Friend appear in this chapter as well, somehow. Maybe by stabbing Sheriff Asgore or coming out of him, who knows. In other words, you all might be wrong and I might be right. Yet I can't say for sure since I'm just not really confident in this theory anymore as of time of recording this. Please for it. But I don't really care about that. Well, with all that said and done, I hope all of you have a lovely day. Goodbye.